Well, good evening, everybody. It's the Denver Bronco Roundup. I'm trying to get us all in here. I think we're all here. It's me. It's Albert. It's Jody. It's Tuesday night, 7 o'clock. We're brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Sports Network and sponsored by Willison's Seasonings and Blends. Thank you for joining in and joining the Denver Bronco Roundup, brought to you. I already said brought to you every Tuesday night, though. Gentlemen, I did a small recap after the game on Sunday. We haven't talked much since. It's not what we wanted. Just a reminder, you guys ranked this level 9, level 10 as far as importance. I originally came in at a level 3. I did end up changing it when I was on the air with Albert a little bit, ratcheted it up a little bit. But obviously not what we wanted, not what we expected. You know, this is one that we kind of went through our initial schedule, and we're picking wins and losses. I think this is one we all had as a definite win. It was a disappointment. We're going to get into exactly what those disappointments were. I will say, not in a disappointment, is our good friend Jeremy Dressler jumping in the comments already. Thank you, Jeremy, for jumping in, saying go Broncos and Buffs. Hey, one of those you can be super happy about right now. Just knocking down Goliaths left and right, climbing up the charts, looking like they're going to be possibly playoff bound if they keep this up. Broncos, though, on the other hand, we're talking about Buffs. Broncos, on the other hand, have some work to do. Appreciate it so much. Jumping in here, Jeremy. Appreciate you. So, gentlemen, I want to get right into it right off the bat. First off, I shouldn't even do that. Welcome, Albert. Welcome, Jody. Albert, say hello to our friends and go from there, buddy.
Okay, I will do it a little bit distant. Guten Abend, Alan.
Good evening to you as well, sir. It's fantastic to see you. And our fans are excited to see you, too. Hopefully that's exactly, I got that right.
Yep, you did.
Oh, right on. I'm getting better at this. I'm going to be bilingual by the time me and Albert end up hanging out for a few more years, man.
Yep.
Good evening to you, sir. Appreciate you being here and being part of the show as always, man. So, Jody, good evening, sir.
What's up?
What is up? Not the Broncos as far as the AFC West is division standings are concerned, but we're here to talk about it. Jeremy coming in and said, I hate Nebraska almost as much as I hate the Raiders. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I'll let the cat out of the bag. Jeremy's originally from Boulder, Colorado, so, grew up just with the bus right in his backyard and the Broncos not far away. So makes sense, makes complete sense. And Michelle jumping in saying, evening, gents. You all are the Bronco-teers.
The three Bronco-teers.
The three Bronco-teers. Oh, like the Musketeers were the Bronco-teers. I appreciate it, Michelle. Yeah, no kidding. We do need. I should get the drums, as far as our background noise, especially with some of my bad jokes. Anyway, appreciate it, Michelle, and getting in here in the chat, making up nicknames for us. It's all about. It's about you guys. Appreciate you so much. So, I wanted to get, and I'll hit Albert first. Now I'll hit Jody first because I think I actually asked Albert about this on our halftime show, if I remember correctly. So, Jody, what were your thoughts as we kicked off the season? And literally, we kicked off the season with the opening kickoff and an onside kick. Give me your thoughts on that, buddy. Don't think about it too hard. Might be a little bit locked up there.
Yep, it looks like
Yeah,
it.
I think we're a little locked up.
Sorry.
Here we go. I think we got like Jody back in the house. Go ahead, buddy.
I like the execution. It was executed 99.9% perfect. I touched it about half a yard too early. Other than that, it was executed well. What I don't like is did put your defense in a hole right away. I do like that it shows faith in your D, but it was something from that drive all game long. We couldn't stop them when we needed to, and really it set us back. I mean, it almost put us in a 7-0 hole to begin.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being great move, 0 being obviously a 0.
5.
5.
I'm right in the middle. I mean, I can nitpick it either way. So
very good. I'll get the Dutchie's answer on this.
it's definitely not the reason we lost this game.
Okay. Very good. Dutchie?
I thought it was an excellent move, except for touching it a little bit too early. But if that would have been into our favor, it was an excellent move. Everybody would have jubileed about it, and I think a lot of other teams will maybe implement it because from what they've seen. Yeah, no, I think it just didn't work out. Like Jody said, for 99.95%, it worked.
Yeah.
And just that, a couple inches or whatever it was, it didn't. So, and apparently, that was the name of the game, short fields.
Yeah, I appreciate the lead in because that's one of the reasons I absolutely hated this move. And I think it was an absolutely terrible move. Here we are kicking off the season. I felt it felt like I had Coach Hackett back on the sidelines, making up ideas and thinking on the spot and absolutely no data to back this up something like this. It's not like you're coming out in the second half after you've seen the special teams line up a few times and say, I see this. I don't know what he said when he said he saw something prior to, but my goodness, there was nothing and no reason to do that. We put us in a hole early. It almost guaranteed 3 points right off the bat, especially with Carlson's leg, and it ended up being 7. And right off the bat, we were having to, which we did, march right down the field and put 7 points on the board. But how much different would that have been if that was a 7-0 and a defensive stand to start off the game, rather than putting your defense in a bad position to begin with, putting your team in a bad position to begin with, and starting off the entire season in a bad position to begin with. I hated the move. Absolutely hated the move. Thought it was a terrible move. And, there was a lot of decisions throughout this entire game, and we'll get into it, that I'm not going to give Sean Payton, I'm not going to give this coaching staff, a pass on it. So, Jody, for some reason I tried to mute you, but now I can't. You can't unmute your guests. Their mic isn't connected. So, Jody, check that out just really quick. Hopefully we're good there. Jody's just he's like, forget it. I'm out of here. I'm coming back. So we'll get Jody back here in a second. We're going to jump into the comments real quick. Kurt Valente, man, thank you, Kurt. Kurt actually just finished up. He does a little high school sports spot show over on All In High School Sports. Check them out. And they show off high school coaches and athletes. Just got done over there and jumping right over here and being part of us. So appreciate you so much, Kurt. And he's saying, what's up, boys? Absolutely sick of Vance Joseph already. Get off the freaking field. Where was the pressure? Why is Surtain not on Adams? I love Peyton, but he should have went Rex over Ryan. Get the defense off the field. My thoughts on my Broncos show tomorrow. By the way, check it out. He has a great show over on the K&K Sports Show. But Russ looked great. Let's go. Mitch Aguilar Jr. Not sure why we're talking about Mitch Aguilar Jr., but I'll throw it in there regardless. Welcome back, Jody, and it looks like your mic is working just fine now, so sorry about the technical difficulties. I'm going to move through just a few more of these comments. We have Denver Bronco Fan Club, Tampa Bay chapter. Thank you so much for jumping in here tonight. Appreciate you. He says, it was a great move if we get it. If we miss, it was a bad move. And yeah, there's a certain extent to that. Obviously it was this close. The entire stadium was going crazy as it looked like it was going to be a recovery for the Denver Broncos, and a great way to start off the season. But man, unfortunately, like I said, risk reward. I'm not sure it was worth the risk, in my opinion. In fact, I know it's not. Sorry. Kurt Valente coming in and just really quick again, just trying to get caught up. Where is our aggressive defense? Coming back in and says, you watch the Jets, Cowboys defense aggressive. Vance Joseph was terrible on Sunday. Tampa Bay fan club coming in very pleased with our defensive play. So two sides of it on that as well. Roger coming in. Oh no, we suck again. Well, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater quite yet. I didn't like what I saw necessarily on Sunday in a lot of different instances, including a loss to a division rival, Raiders, that, aren't supposed to be competitive this year. But that being said, I digress. Kenny coming in saying, good evening, fellows. How are my favorite 3 Bronco fans? Kurt, you're number 4. So if anybody knows, Kenny's the other side of the K&K Sports Show. So, and Kurt just saying, oops, I tagged somebody by mistake. So, gentlemen, let's hit it. It's been said in here multiple times, whether it be Kurt, whether it be others like the Denver Bronco fan club, Tampa Bay chapter, that was happy with our defensive play. Starting off with you, Jody. How did you feel about our defensive play? And if you want to break it down quarter, half, just do the whole game, highlights, lowlights, it's your choice, buddy.
I thought it was just, really. They couldn't get any big stops. Raiders exposed Denver's weakness at cornerback and Davari Mathis. The lone bright spot to me was PS2.
Yeah, PS2 is a lone bright spot. Jody's having just a little bit of internet connection where he's at. So, yeah, PS2, no matter who he is up against, seemed like he was able to lock down. They did try to move around Devontae Adams, so Mathis did get some matchups there. I'm sure Jody will talk about that as well. But, PS2 was certainly a standout in this defense. And about one of the only ones like we can think of.
Randy Gregory making $70 million. Where was he? 1 tackle. We had 0 sacks in this game. And there were some head scratchers. Why did Drew Sanders get 0 snaps on defense? Why did Nick Bonito only get 12? Why did we not do anything to help Davari Mathis? I mean, I think I heard Jimmy G was like 120 quarterback rating, like 9 for 10, 2 touchdowns when throwing on Davari Mathis. Where was Frank Clark? Where was our pass rush? It was non-existent. Why did Matt Henningsen hardly play? I mean, there were some real head scratchers here that I don't understand, that I expect some stuff to change because it's been brought out and it was asked by the media. So, I mean, they're aware of it now. Not that matters to them, but definitely the Drew Sanders one is really complexing to me. You were getting no pass rush, and this is a guy that had double-digit pass or sacks last year at Arkansas, and you didn't put him on the field once.
Yeah, a guy that, especially you think going down the stretch, before they were just trying to kneel out the ball in that drive. When you're wanting to try to get a little bit extra pressure, great rotation piece would have been Drew Sanders. Don't understand how you don't get a single snap on defense. Perplexing. And we're having a little bit of comments in there as well. I just dropped a link, guys, to a little article that Albert actually just put together. It's over on Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Check it out. And the reason I dropped that in there is because Albert had a few ideas in there, too, of, as the article says, what happened with the Broncos versus the Raiders. What happened on this defense, Albert? What did you see that, fell short? And, even though it was only 17 points that the Raiders put up, it was still ended up being a loss. Where did we have faults?
And the biggest fault that we had as a defense, and this is what would have brought us the win, is rushing the passer, and it didn't happen. How many rushes did we see? I didn't see one. And the one hurry that came through was very unexpected from, and Jody already said, Henningsen.
Yeah.
He was the only one who came through once. So that was the biggest problem. What I do have to comment, though, is the defense held Josh Jacobs in check.
Yeah.
Alex Singleton
Did
and
accomplish one of the major things, one of the major goals that we lined out in this game, obviously. And I think a lot of Broncos country thought as well.
the two linebackers, Singleton and Jewell, we have to applaud them for that because they did a tremendous job in keeping Jacobs in check, and of course with the other three up front as well. But those two were, in my opinion, Jewell and Singleton were the MVPs of the defense, next to Surtain.
Next to Surtain, yeah. Yeah, it was nice to see us not have Josh Jacobs go off. You know, talking about the things that were tough. Ed Siciliano, Mr. Sis, coming in here saying, very hard loss to swallow. 100%, man. It was difficult because it felt so reminiscent to what we just went through a year ago, not being able to get to that 18-point mark, not being able to close it out down the stretch, even like I said, to start off the game, some really odd decision making, to put your team in a place, very, very reminiscent of, like I said, last year, in my opinion. So hard to swallow. We're getting past it, though, man. Tampa Bay chapter coming in again saying, I felt like the season was over after game one last year. I don't feel that way this year. There was some noticeable improvements. At the end of the day, we should win every game that our D only allows us maybe 1 points. Every other D held the opposing team to 17-1. Oh, gotcha. If we're holding teams to 17, we should win because every other team that did so in the league won those games. Something to be said maybe about this offense. So maybe another good transition, I guess, right here. We'll flip over to the offense. I'll go over to Jody. Jody, this is your first chance to talk about this offense since the game. We had speculated and racked our brains and dreamed and tried to take all the pieces of the puzzle, Russell Wilson, Seahawks, and Saints, and Sean Payton, put it in this mathematical calculation formula, spit out the answer. Did you get what you thought you were expecting in the end? And what did you see, and what did you like? What didn't you like?
I've seen a lot of good things. Russ was very decisive with the ball. He was on point in the first half. 2 incompletions. One was a spike, and one was just a slight overthrow to Javonte. 2 touchdowns. Moved around in the pocket well. I mean, Russ played really well in the first half. I mean, that's really what I expect a half for Russ. Maybe one less touchdown. I mean, 125 yards, around 1 to 2 touchdowns. Some of the bad. When Greg Dulcich went out, it's like we were lost. We have nothing behind him in the receiving room. Adam Troutman he's not a juker. I mean, there was one play in particular, he tried to juke a guy, and as he's trying to juke him, he just got tackled right to the ground. Run over the guy. Fight hard for that.
Should have just ran to that corner, man. Should have ran to the corner and tried to get as many yards as possible. He slowed up. There was no starting again.
P. Ryan did the same thing, like on a little on third down. Luckily, Russ drew him off sides the next play. But put your head down, P. Ryan, and get the first.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the bads is all off season we heard we're supposed to be a run first team, run. Well, we were 60% throw, which I don't have a problem with, except for we dinked and dunked the whole game. We literally took one shot down the field that was called PI. we didn't let Russ do what he does best. Look what happens when he gets out of the pocket a little bit. 2 touchdowns. Had that strike on the first drive to Brandon Johnson. So none of it, I didn't really like any of that. O-line played okay. There were a couple series that Max Crosby just kind of wrecked things. But for the most part, 2 sacks. I'll take that all day with Max Crosby rushing. None really on Russ holding the ball too long or whatever. I thought so. That was good. But this team needs more explosive plays. This team has got to get Marvin Mims, who's a 4-3 guy, Jaleel McLaughlin, who's a speedster. They got to get them more involved. And I thought they used Cortland Sutton all wrong. I didn't see him run very many slants. I didn't see him on very many go routes where he could go up and try to get the ball, use his big body. I didn't see any of those from Sutton. So there's some things that I think need cleaned up there.
Tough to see go routes when you're not throwing it deep, though.
It's true. But this was a weird game. We only had 6 possessions. The average is 11 possessions a game.
Yeah.
We only had 6. And 4 of 6, we were in. Russ put us in scoring positions: 2 touchdowns, a field goal, and a missed field goal. The missed field goal goes to the bad, and Sean Payton, reasons we lost this game. Will Lutz. If you look at Will Lutz over the last 5 years, he's been on a steady decline. And we traded a 7th-round pick to get this guy. Manis being here because he didn't kick all that great last year, but he was better than what you brought in here. And just to get rid of him for whatever reasons is I don't agree with. Sean Payton is loyal to guys to a fault. Will Lutz, Chris Manhertz. Chris Manhertz, what does he do as a tight end? He blocks. He doesn't make any explosive plays. He doesn't do any of that.
Agree with all of that, man. I'm gonna, if you don't mind, I'm gonna jump over to Albert real quick. I want to get his 2 cents on this offense as well, or maybe his next 10 minutes. No, I'm just kidding. That being said, I do just want to recognize a couple of people in the chats before I hit Albert real quick. Michael Ronquillo coming in here again, kind of alluding to maybe issues with this offense. Missing wide receiver Jerry Jeudy in this game. I like that call out. Very good, Michael. Appreciate you jumping in the chat. I'll do one more here real quick, and this is coming in from Roger, and he's saying, is anyone else starting to get used to losing every week? Back in the day when we lost, I would call in sick the next day and be mad all week. Not anymore. Been a fan my whole life, 45 years. Go Broncos. Yeah, gone are those days. If not, you're going to burn up those sick days really quick, Roger, over these last 6 seasons. Albert, though, I want to get your, like I said, your thoughts on this offense, what you liked, what you didn't like, and, what we need to do to improve maybe going forward.
What I really liked was that we were moving the ball, even although we had only 6 possessions, but we had 22 first downs. When has that happened in the last season?
Yeah, that's very true.
When has that hasn't happened? So we even on the third downs, we converted those. I think 1/3 of the time.
Yeah.
Last year, that was pretty much nil. So I'm really happy with that. The only thing that I didn't like is we had a successful first half, and then we changed it up in the second half. Why not continue? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that is what I think that what happened is we went over to more of the run game, even although the short passes worked really well. The Raiders had no answer to that. So I think that's where the biggest problem was. Yeah. Even though that Dulcich was missing, I think it didn't interfere that much because the short passes worked. Little Humphreys got some of them. And Russ, he was not focused on just one receiver. How many receivers caught the ball from him?
I think it was 7 in the first drive, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, but I would
think about that.
I'll nitpick that though, because a lot of them were checkdowns to running backs and tight ends. You didn't see a lot of what Brandon Johnson have 2 catches, Mims 2, Sutton 3. I mean, less than 70% were to running backs and tight ends. You got to get your wide receivers involved.
Yeah, but if you just keep focusing on just the 2, then the defense will have an easier pickings as well. So yeah, I was happy because last year it was just one read, and that didn't work, and then we had a play for that didn't go anywhere. Now we moved the change a list, and I think that is a big plus for me.
So okay, I want to jump in. I'm going to give you my 2 cents on all this. First half, fantastic. I've been throwing up the passing charts for anybody of those watching at home. For any of those who haven't been watching at home, Russell Wilson statistically looking really good. 27 of 34, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 177 yards, pretty minimal. You look at that passing chart, and really not very many targets even beyond 10 yards. And if they are beyond 10 yards, it's barely beyond 10 yards. Almost everything was underneath. Almost everything was to the side, to either the left or the right hash marks. That's where he lived. This worked in the first half. Along with a running game and a quick passing game that was coming right off of play action, and a run game that was doing quite well. But you can only suck the defense up so much and for so long until you have to start taking those deeper shots and keeping them honest. And we never saw those come. And when we didn't see those come, and we're talking about a 6-possession game, the defense was able to just choke up, stay inside the box, not have to worry about going deep and covering anybody deep, and control the game in the second half to the point that we only put up an additional 3 points in a game that we looked dominant to begin with. It's coaching. It's what you're doing on the field. It's taking advantage of the opportunities. And it was, quite honestly, a little bit disastrous from a head coaching standpoint in Sean Payton. I don't know how else to put it. Want to get to a few more comments, and then we'll get back around the horn on to everybody. Threw this up a little bit earlier. Jeremy's coming in and saying the offense was moving the chains in the first half. I think Payton has them ready to play against the Commanders, and we're going to be getting into that. That's that matchup here before we get out of here. We're about halfway through the show, guys, so that's good. Tampa Bay chapter saying yes, we need more yardage. Let Russ cook. Yeah, I think when we talk about let Russ cook, we talk about moon balls, rolling out, throwing deep, stretching that field, giving your guys opportunity then on the next play underneath, whether it happens to be a run or a short pass. Getting everybody. Kurt Valente coming in and said, again, I'm so disappointed in advancing this defense. How many third downs do they give up? Our defense has to be more aggressive. Terrible. Defense has to be better versus the Washington Heights or Commanders. We'll get into that matchup as well. And then, again, just getting to everybody. This is Michael Ronquillo coming in saying kicker Will Lutz was embarrassed on the missed extra point and the field goal and costing the Broncos the game. Left tackle Garrett Bowles consoles him during the interview with the Broncos media. I want to bring that up because, yes, I will, and I'm going to drop one more link just really quick, guys, because Albert's not the only guy who thinks he can write. I think I can write too every now and then, so I've been giving it a shot, and I'm going to drop my article in the comments as well. check it out if you get a chance. Really appreciate everyone's support, and really appreciate everyone's support in here tonight. Got a lot of viewers and a lot of comments, having a hard time keeping up with everybody. So appreciate you guys. Will Lutz absolutely needs to take some heat on a missed extra point. If you think about a missed extra point, I know that it doesn't necessarily equate exactly, but that missed extra point is a tie game, if we look at it as far as the scoreboard at the end is concerned. Certainly puts a lot more pressure on the Raiders to do something in that final drive, and who knows what happens if the Raiders have to take on that load, take on that pressure. Maybe we get an interception. Our defense in the secondary was certainly, ready to go. We'll just put it that way. But boy,
it was a huge momentum swing. You drove all the way down there, tied this game up. Russ was on fire, threw a touchdown.
But I'll let you talk about that real quick. But I'll say this: I'm not going to blame him for a 55-yard field goal miss. You cannot put 55-yard field goals on kickers and have high expectation of it being made, regardless of who the kicker is. Maybe we got a little spoiled with Brandon McManus, but I'm not hanging that on Will Lutz. I'll hang the 1 point, and you can get to your point, Jody, of what that did for our team, especially, like I said, coming off of that driving down the field after that going down 7-0.
Oh, it just killed the momentum. The whole offseason of Russ was washed. How short of a leash is he on? And he drove this team right down the field, threw a touchdown on the first pass. I mean, was near perfect on that drive. And then something simple like that, and we missed it. And it just was unnecessary. Now it's more, however, we're wasting time talking about missed extra points and stuff on a kicker that was suspect to come here anyways because of Peyton being loyal to this guy for whatever reason, which I get confused because you're loyal to Will Lutz to a fault. When you sit and watch the last 5 years of him, his percentages just go down, 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 down. But yet Russ has one bad season, and he has trust issues with Russ.
Sorry, man, Jody. He was really going to get into it too. I could tell, man. Now he's
all stuff.
Hey, Jody.
And all this,
you broke up just for a little bit, but you're back.
And all this trust issues with Russ because of one bad season, but this guy has 5 or 6 bad seasons, and we trade for him and bring him in, and it's one of the things that I don't understand with Sean Payton. It's like after Sunday's game, the trust stuff has to be over with Russ. Russ did everything you asked. Russ ran everything you wanted, did everything you needed, was decisive with his calls and everything. You've got to trust Russ. You've got to trust your $40 million quarterback. And I think Russ has the cachet to go to him and say, you got to let me do what I do best. You got to let me throw the ball deep sometimes. We cannot dink and dunk for 17 games.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have any explosive players on this. You don't have a Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill that can catch it in the flat and joystick you and pick up 5 or 6 yards. You don't have that. We've seen that with Austin Troutman.
But I'm going to give you this, though, Jody. How many times during the broadcast did you hear people saying, and he missed a wide open Cortland Sutton. He missed a wide open Brandon Johnson. He missed a wide open Marvin Mims deep. I think you can't you can't put the exactly. Never. You can't put the blame on Rush. You can't put the blame on Sean.
No, I'm not.
There was routes there was routes that were. I'm talking about anybody. You can't put it on Russ. You can't put it on Sean. If these are the guys out there and they're not open, I think that's exactly what you saw, especially in the last little.
And I'm going to have to go back
the last
and watch
drive
again.
when he kept. Russ was going through progressions and everything just kept getting dumped out to the flats. He had no other choice.
But that's what I'm saying when we talked earlier about this little 10-yard box. If all your guys are running in 10-yard box, you made it easy for the Raiders to keep everything in front of you. You don't have to worry about Adam Troutman or whoever juking you. I mean, we've seen him try it one time and it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to set up, and I use Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas was not the fastest guy, but they used him in a way, deep ends and different things where he could use his big body and that type of thing. Let Cortland Sutton do that. Let little Jordan Humphries do that. He's a big wide receiver. And we didn't see any of that. It was just like hit your first read and here we go. If your first read's not there, check it down to the back.
That's fair, man. That's fair. Going to put a little bit. Jody's still putting a little bit on Sean Payton. The play calling, where the reads went, what the progression was looking like. Maybe
I put this
even
on
the
Sean.
Conversation with Wilson saying, get to that guy that's a little bit deeper. Give that guy a shot. Give Courtney a shot.
And I put this on Peyton because it was one of the reasons, and I said this from the beginning, it was one of the reasons I did not want Joe Lombardi as an OC. He was dink and dunk in L.A. You have a quarterback in Justin Herbert who can launch the ball down the field and dink and dunk. That you've got to open the field up a little bit.
I agree, man. I'm going to get to Patrick Wiltsey and then over to Albert real quick. Patrick coming in here saying, we were spoiled for so many years. 7 years is a long time to expect competent play and coaching. If we are relying on a kicker to win, there are a myriad of other issues. And to his point, a 1-point win, only 16 points on the board. There are a myriad of issues. Albert, as a lot of people are talking about in here, the coaching. What do you think about the coaching? Are we heading in the right direction? Are we heading in the wrong direction? Can Peyton get it back on track? Because it looked like we fell apart in the second half, and now we got a 1-0 Commanders team coming into town as well. Yet again, another team that we expected to win against, but we expected one against the Raiders. So,
yeah, I think offensive. We saw what can happen in the preseason games. We saw what can happen. We didn't see it this Sunday, but I think that will change. Our defense definitely has to do something better because we have hardly seen any pass rushing, even in preseason games. And that needs to change. And we have a dynamic quartet up front here. Gregory, Benito, Browning when he comes back, Frank Clark, Cooper. Those four can get to the quarterback if they let them. And I don't think that is happening. And that definitely needs to change. But here's one thing that I see a huge positive here too. Who else lost? Chiefs, Chargers, Bills, all of the teams Bengals, all of the teams that were expected to win, all of them lost. So we are really good company. The Raiders are just an outlier.
It's true, man. The Browns racking up some wins out there, versus the Bengals. I mean, it was a kind of a topsy-turvy week one. It does put us in a better position, obviously, with both the Chargers and the Chiefs losing in week one. Raiders kind of the lone guy out there, 1-0 in the NFC West. So,
but see, I look at that different though. I don't care what Kansas City and I don't care what these other teams do. Take care of your own business. I agree. You've got your own problems.
We're at least we're in a better position, I guess.
We got our own problems. Fix your own problems and win games, and the rest will fall in place. You win. It doesn't matter what. And I'm not trying to argue or anything, but
no, you're good, man.
We got problems that.
I just tried to bring you some humor.
I don't. And I heard this, and it doesn't console. It doesn't console a loss too. You still scored 16 points, something that was the joke of this town last year. And what did we do? 16 points again.
Yep. Like I said, right now, but who is going? Tampa Bay chapter coming in here. Denver Broncos fan club, Tampa Bay chapter. But who's going to stretch the field right now? We got Mims right now, and until we get Judy back, it's going to be tough. You're getting a lot of love
Sutton.
on Sutton.
And I say
is
Sutton because Sutton's a big-bodied wide receiver that you can throw
not
the ball
stretch
up
the
to.
field.
He's not running 40 yards, but Sutton is somebody that you can still throw the ball up there, and he can go get it.
I hope so. Haven't seen that in 2 years, man. That's the thing. Is Sutton back to
That's
that
something
point?
we need to see.
I agree. There you go. Let's find out. Let's find out if Sutton's back in that position to where he can be that guy, even though he doesn't have that blazing 40 speed, that if you throw that ball and he has to come back, if he has to fight for it, he's the guy that's coming up there ripping that ball down and getting a first down. Let's find out.
Who's that new wide receiver that we just got?
Marvin Mims. Mims is
nope.
Oh, there's Philip
Dorsett. If you're going all the way down into Dorsett and Sills.
Dorsett. Because Dorsett is supposed to be a speedster.
He's a speedster.
Why didn't he get a shot?
But Keith is right. The answer is Marvin Mims. You had 2 wide receivers on this team that just got paid big, and you had lots of needs on this team, and you traded up, and your first pick was Marvin Mims. You obviously had faith in him, so you've got to use him more than 2 catches for 9 yards.
Yep.
I mean, he didn't even run any go routes or any of that. That wasn't even there. You've got to use that 4.3 speed.
Well, again, I'll have to go back. I'll have to look at maybe the film, the All 22. I've been thinking about picking up NFL Plus just for that reason, but a little shout out to NFL Plus, I guess. But that being said, it has to be in the read. It has to be in the progression. It has to be in the ear of the quarterback from the coach. You know what I mean? As far as getting to those guys. Those guys weren't all just out there running under routes less than 10 yards. There was guys that were going further than that. There were guys getting deeper, 20 yards downfield. But if they're not really a part of the play, if they're on the opposite side of a rollout, those guys are checked out. They're not part of the play. They're not part of the progression. So it's a matter of scheming up, getting it in the ear of the quarterback and putting it together to where you can stretch this field, because that's, in my opinion, exactly what happened in the second half of this game. You can look at all the passing charts. You can try to continue to run the ball, but if you haven't stretched this defense at all, I mean, Dulcich on a long third down play was the best play that we had as far as a long, get into that second tier of the defense, that second level of the defense, and you throw a ball down there. That was the only one I saw. Outside of the Cortland Sutton pass interference, kind of a mystery pass interference that got us, further down the field.
And you bring up Dulcich. I thought that was really lame to say that it wrecked this to how you game plan this. If Greg Dulcich is the reason that this whole game plan changed, then to me you have problems.
Yep.
Greg Dulcich he is a nice tight end, but he.
And Dulcich is just whatever Sean Payton calls him, a joker. You put him in there for the special plays and that kind of stuff. If I'm not mistaken, right, Jody? No, apparently I'm the only one right now, and that's okay. So yeah.
I guess while Keith's out, let's. What are you looking forward to this week? Some things you want to see changed.
Let's go over some of the comments. Because we can do that too. So I have Michelle coming in. Jody, she disagrees you. She agrees with you up to 16 points. But what the other teams are doing is it is our business because they are our competition. And if they all lose, it makes it easier for us. And I do agree with that. Keith is back. I hope. He froze up again.
All right.
Oh, there you go.
Trying to get back in here. Sorry about that, gents. So, sorry. Where are we at?
I was going over some of the comments.
Okay.
And Michael says it's just one game. We have a lot of NFL games left to go. this is Sean Payton's first year with the Broncos. Give it time to jelly.
Yeah,
I kind of agree, but we were expecting a little bit more from Sean Payton because he is a very aggressive offensive coordinator, and we didn't see any of that. And I think that was a little bit disappointing, in my opinion. What do you think?
Agreed. And it's kind of what we were talking about, especially those second half adjustments. Here's a veteran coach, not only second half adjustments, but just in-game adjustments. I know they didn't have a ton of possessions. Jody pointed that out. I don't think that can be overstated enough, that the fact that only having 6 possessions in a game, it makes it really difficult to try to make adjustments on the fly and be productive. You better be spot on in your adjustments. And I hate to say it, gentlemen, but man, it was Josh McDaniels who did a better job in that second half coaching than we saw from Sean Payton. And we didn't expect that. No one expected that. And if you ever put those two guys on a list again, as far as trying to rank them, they wouldn't even be close to each other on that list. So to go into this season with the expectations of what this Sean Payton was brought in to do, not fix Russ, but get this offense going in the right direction, make great decisions, make great adjustments. And these are all just things that, led to disappointment on my behalf. I didn't see an offense that was amazing. I was so excited to see the debut of what, he had put together with this roster, with Russ, with his mind. How will it actually start playing out? I know it's only game 1. We got 16 more games to go, so there's still plenty to be let out of that bag. But between that, like I said, good decision-making, the onside kick at the very beginning, that blew my mind and blew my plans of good decision-making almost out of the water to begin with, and then the adjustments because we didn't see him down the stretch. So lots to improve upon, and I'm looking forward to it.
And that's where I'm
looking forward
at
to maybe seeing it.
With Peyton, the 2 most important drives to me were you ran a 2-minute drill to perfection, and then you knew you were getting the ball after halftime. And what did you do after halftime? You went 3 and out. Nothing. You could have put the Raiders away right there. You go down and score. You're up 2 scores. And then when you need a drive with 6 minutes left and you go 3 and out, those, and I'll even go to the field goal, or when you're down inside the 10, the first time you run RPO all game, run something that you can score. You get a touchdown there, that's huge.
Yeah.
There was just
Agreed.
some perplexing things for me that he did, some calls.
So I want to quickly, because we're really at the end of our show, went quick, guys, between my internet issue that clonked us out and great discussion because, man, you guys have been absolutely blowing it up. Appreciate everyone that's been tuning in, chiming in, commenting, part of the conversation. Denver Bronco Roundup was meant to round up each and every one of the Denver Bronco fans right here on our channel, and for you to be a part of it. And you guys are tonight. Appreciate you a ton. The Commanders come into town this Sunday, and I just wanted to talk a little bit about those guys. I have it up to the side, so I apologize if I'm looking up, not ignoring you guys, just doing a little bit of reading here. Cardinals only managed to run 15 plays on the Commanders' side of the 50-yard line. That led to the Commanders earning the 7th best defense and tying the Baltimore Ravens for the 4th fewest points allowed. Let's see. 7 of the Cardinals' 16 points came from Howell, fumble return for a touchdown in the second quarter. Of the Cardinals' 11 possessions, only 2 went further than 30 yards, and only 3 of them resulted in negative yardage. That got noticed by Pro Football Focus, which gave Washington top 10 grades in overall defense, 4th, run defense, 3rd, and pass rush, 10th, and coverage, 7th. That's what we have coming into town after just putting up 16 points. Albert, I know the Commanders weren't expected to be, again, anything formidable. We expected this to be maybe a win when we first put together our predictions. The one thing we have known about the Washington Redskins, if they could put it all together, they have one of the most formidable defenses out there. They did against the Cardinals, who's probably trying to lose it all in order to get that number 1 pick at the same time. Concerns about the Commanders, and what's your thoughts about maybe this? I don't know if we'll get another show. Your thoughts on maybe this game, how it goes down, score prediction, and win-loss.
This is still a very doable game for the Broncos. Our offense can do it. Sean Payton has to scheme properly and put up an offense that will work for Russell Wilson and the team. If they do the dump, the dink and dunk, whatever you call it, the short yardage, you probably can win with it. But the big plays that needs to happen, our defense, if they really do what they can do, then I see no problem with the Commanders at all. And you already said it about the Cardinals. They are thriving now to be 0-17 because it looks like that Kyler Murray is not the answer for them. So they want something different.
Yep.
And so they've given away a lot of their good players.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think the Cardinals is every team that goes to the Cardinals should be an easy win. So it's a little bit misleading, that game. So, but I think it is still a doable game. The Broncos win 23-16.
23-16 win for the Broncos at home versus the Commanders. Yeah. Jody, I know we had a lot to get to, and I know we didn't get to all the topics you wanted to hit. We're kind of wrapping it up. I was thinking about that as Albert was talking, so I apologize for that.
Oh, it's all good.
I promise we'll get to it, especially if the conversation continues that we were talking about earlier. That being said, Broncos are in need of a win. Got to hit 1-1 at this point. Commanders are coming to town. I kind of read off the defensive statistics. Give me your thoughts on this game, man, and maybe give Broncos country a little bit of hope out there as well.
Some things for me that Denver's got to do: contain this front seven of Washington. It's elite. They might even be getting Chase Young back this week. So that's number one. A hit or miss secondary. That's something I think you can expose. I now would almost 100% expect Judy back for this game. I thought little Jordan Humphreys has earned quit playing around, put him on this 53. He's probably
looks great.
He was probably your best wide receiver Sunday. I've suggested maybe moving him into the Greg Dulcich role because Adam Troutman is what he is, and you're going to get nothing out of Chris Manhertz in the receiving game. O-line's got to hold up. This is an elite front seven that you better be able to block. But on the flip side, Cardinals had 6 sacks on Sam Howell. So if this is ever a game to get right, here it is.
Good stat to pull out. I didn't hit that one, man. I appreciate that, man.
Contain Sam Howell. Sneaky runner. Ran for 1 touchdown, threw for another one, getting outside the pocket. So this is and Washington has a good trio of wide receivers. Terry McLaurin being the leader of that. Lock him down again, PS2. Davari Mathis, you had your one bad game for the season. It's time to show up or next man up, in my opinion. He can't keep getting exposed like that or it'll continue all season.
Fantastic points, Jody. Fantastic points. Albert wants to chime in for 2 seconds. I'll hit the comment board, give you my thoughts.
So time for that one hernia to heal up.
What's that now?
Time for the one hernia to heal up.
The one hernia to heal up.
Yeah, from the cornerback.
From Moss. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Riley Moss.
Yeah, it would be nice. Riley Moss, especially when you looked at that game and the matchup, Jacoby Myers is one of the tall, lengthy type of receivers. Damari Mathis, one of the shorter cornerbacks. Certainly on this roster, I don't know how he compares across the NFL. Riley Moss is definitely not that guy. He's the long, lengthy.
Mm-hmm.
Would have been a great matchup. Good kind of call out. Would have been great to be able to maybe put him out
Now,
there
talking Riley Moss
as an option.
Someone that didn't practice all preseason, all training camp. You can't expect him to come back in and
be a difference maker.
Be a difference maker. I think Fabian Moreau. Maybe you bring up Jaquan McMillan this week.
But if you play
move
a lot of
Basby out to the outside.
If you play a lot of man coverage, doesn't matter if you had a lot of practice. If you did it in college.
No, but I guess one thing for me is where's his conditioning?
Yeah. Yeah, it might be spot, because on the third and long situations when you know that you can man up and this guy needs to get 15 yards in order to get to the first down marker, Riley Moss in spot situations would be great. He is going to hopefully be the future of what we have at cornerback. I don't know if he'll be ready. Again, conditioning, how's he doing? How's he coming back? How playable is he? Those all great questions, but I do want to see him as the season go on be implemented more and more, just like Drew Sanders. My thoughts on this game and going forward as well. Offensive line, I was very impressed with. I'll give them that. I thought they did a fantastic job. They kept us clean almost the entire game. They opened up lanes in the running game. Could have been a little bit better in the screen game, but I think that was always going to be a deficiency. We'll just have to scheme around that. That being said, they'll have to really step it up come this Sunday versus Washington. You don't have one guy. You have a plethora of guys across that front that we'll have to protect against. So that'll be one of the biggest stresses of the game. Damari Mathis, I've been speaking his praises all offseason. I've been hyping him up, and so yeah, he needs to have a bounce-back game. Last year, his last game was game 1. He came back, and he was, quite honestly, dominant across from PS2 for the entire rest of the season. We need to have that this game 1 put in the past for Damari Mathis. We need to move forward. He can be that guy. I just think honestly, if I was watching his play, and I was watching his play a little bit more closely, I think everyone was after the ball started going his way. He seemed hesitant, always made sure that he wasn't getting beat. Didn't want to take a chance at. I never saw him once try to undercut a pass for instance, in order to try to block it off. Just making sure playing too safe. And then finally, last thing for me, open it up, let that ball fly. Got to stretch the field, even if it's not a completion. Like we were kind of talking a little bit earlier. Throw it up to Sutton, see if he has it. Get it 30 yards downfield, see if he can jump all that, grab that down. It's going to make that defense play honest, and it's going to open up everything else in this offensive game. I guess that's about it. That's, I know this Washington offense will bring some firepower to the mix, but hopefully with the defense that we have, that shouldn't be a concern or an issue. I'm expecting those guys to just step up and play good football.
One other thing I would like to see.
I want to hear Albert real quick because he's been trying to jump me in, and then I'll get right back to you, Jody.
And now this is going to be a great opportunity for Jill Skinner. Now that Caden Stearns is injured and not coming back for the season, I think this is an opportunity for Skinner to rein the horse, or get to grab the bull by the horns, or whatever you want to call it. And hopefully he can make a great opportunity for this and see what he can do, because Jackson is not the answer.
Yeah, I guess we didn't talk about it too much on this. There's so much we could have got to. Caden Stearns obviously gone for the season, torn patella tendon. Greg Dulcich, hamstring, looks to be out for multiple weeks. Last year he had the same hamstring, same leg, missed the first 5 weeks, did come back, but ended up missing some games down the stretch. And then obviously We need Judy, and we need him back. That's an injury that was ongoing, and hopefully we flip the page on. Jody, back to you. I apologize for cutting you off, bud.
No, it's all good. One other thing that I want to see is I would like to see Russ under center a little bit more and utilize Michael Burton as a fullback and commit to this run game. If you were going to go 60-40 pass all year, why did you spend big money on Mike McGlinchey, who is not who is probably not a top 10, right tackle and pass blocking? You could have went out and got, Jawan James, who was with Jacksonville. There were other guys out there. So utilize what these guys do best. When Russ was at his best, 25, 26 passes a game, couple deep shots. That's what I want to see. And I want to see Michael Burton and this run game, start leaning on guys.
I agree, man. I want to just a few more shout-outs to the comment board. I forgot that we kind of got away from it as we were kind of talking. Michael Ronquillo, appreciate you saying great conversations. We all can disagree, but we all love the Denver Broncos organization. 100%, buddy. We might not always be on the same page, but we're all fighting for the same thing, the Denver Broncos and a winning Denver Broncos organization. The fan club from Tampa Bay coming in here one more time saying, I think we'll see better decision-making this week, and I'm certainly would be happy to see that. Michael Ronquillo coming in saying the Walton Penner ownership group versus the Josh Harris ownership group, Broncos and the Commanders owners. And if you guys aren't familiar or didn't recognize the name, Josh Harris was at one point in running to maybe be the Denver Broncos owners. So there you have it, a little bit of a matchup there. And hey, Commanders, you got to be happy about your new owners, and congratulations to you for moving on from the era that won't even be spoke of anymore. We'll just leave it at that. Lastly, Michael Ronquillo coming in saying Russell Wilson passed to wide receiver Jerry Jeudy against the Chargers last year is what we need to see in the Broncos offense. Yeah, fantastic game. If you go back and look at that game that Russell Wilson, Jerry Jeudy, the Chargers last year, if we could see a little bit more of that, again, those deep passes opening up, it would be fantastic. Jody, why don't you start off getting us out of here? Say your goodbyes, say your goodnights, and hey, anything else you got for Broncos country out there?
My final thoughts are, I thought Russ looked good last week. I just want to see Peyton open this offense a little bit more. If the reports or what you hear, it might be clickbait, but if he doesn't trust Russ or whatever, that's got to go by the wayside. He did everything that was asked of him all offseason, OTAs, everything. And in game one, he was quick with the ball, decisive. Not one pass was close to being intercepted. He was sharp, all but really a couple passes. You got to open this offense up a little bit. And pass rush. We need to see a pass rush. Raiders did nothing exotic or anything, and I don't really remember one time where you even came close to Jimmy G. I mean, his jersey was clean at the end of this game. You've got to get pressure.
3 hits, 0 sacks to be official. And to be official, Jody, we have someone else chiming in, and I totally forgot to ask you, win, lose, score prediction? We didn't get that from you.
I'm going to say 24-14 Denver.
Okay, buddy. Like it, getting him back on track with the prediction there, and not too far off our friend Ray Osborne, who's jumping in, saying my final thoughts: 24-21 Broncos win. Albert, final thoughts, get us out of here, and then I'll finish her up.
Yeah, I want to thank all the guests who were in there and participating in things. And yeah, thank you for being here. There's really support for us as well, and it keeps us going with talking. And yeah, I predict a win as well, and let's hope that they all can get it together.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to hit some of our friends, and I don't know if I can go all the way back in my comments, but I do want to say thank you to obviously Kenny and Kurt who came in here very early of the K&K Sports Show. Check out the K&K Sports Show. If you want to check out, all your major sports without necessarily an all Colorado flavor, they do coast to coast sports coverage at the K Sports Show. Man, that was a mouthful. That being said, Denver Broncos Fan Club Tampa Bay chapter, appreciate you. George, who came in here as well. Michelle, Eddie, Michael Ronquillo. Who else do we
Roger.
have here? Roger, we had in here. We had Roy. We had Dave in here earlier. Had a ton of support. Anybody else that you're noticing there, Albert?
Yeah,
If so,
Patrick.
Patrick Wiltsey was in here. Yes, man.
Adam and Kayla.
Adam and Kayla, and I apologize, Adam and Kayla. I remember seeing your comment, and we didn't get to it. You're going to be top priority on our next show when you throw a comment in. I promise you. So appreciate your guys' support a ton.
And did we mention Kurt?
Did we mention who?
Kurt Valenti?
Yeah, Kurt and Kenny over at the K&K Sports Show. Speaking of that, guys, my final thoughts before we do our wrap-up for this evening. Denver Broncos definitely have a chance. The Commanders, once again, are not a team that we expected to put the Denver Broncos in a loss column when we did our season predictions. I still don't. They're a young team. They're still trying to get it together. They do have a strong defensive front, but I think that we have a strong defense on the other side. Expect Vance Joseph, Damari Mathis to bounce back. Expect Sean Payton, as many people mentioned, including the Tampa Bay fan club chapter, coming in here saying, I think the decision-making will be better this week from Sean Payton. So, yes, I'm going to predict a win. I'm not going to predict a big win. I'm going to give you a 20-10 win in favor of the Broncos. Again, I think that we have the ability to stop this Commanders offense and maybe just put up a few more points than we saw last week, even though I think we're going up against a tough defense. Everybody, I appreciate you so much. Like I said, we ran through all our thank yous, but I want to thank everyone for watching and listening to another great episode of the Denver Bronco Roundup. As always, we are presented to you by Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Wanting fantastic coverage of all your Colorado sports teams, check out Rocky Mountain Sports Network for coverage on Avalanche, Broncos, Nuggets, and even the Rockies. You can catch them on YouTube, Facebook, and X. Just search out Rocky Mountain Sports Network. And if not, I'll be dropping some links after we get off, and you can follow them there as well. Also, DBR fans, we have an incredible sponsor in Willow Seasonings and Blends. The barbecue season isn't over. Remember that, guys. It's my favorite time of the barbecue season. Snow starts flying in Montana pretty early, so it should be my favorite time of the season, well, just around the corner. So I am going to stock up, and you should too, on all your favorite rubs and sauces by purchasing from the best rubs and sauces company out there, Willow Seasonings and Blends. That's Willow Seasonings and Blends. You can check them out at willowseasonings.com. That's willowseasonings.com. Guys, these are award-winning Blue Ribbon. They're Colorado-based. They're a veteran-owned company. They love the Broncos. Can I give you any more reasons to go over to willowseasonings.com and make a purchase? Yes, I can. Type in DBR 2023. That'll get you 15% off your purchase. That's DBR for Denver Bronco Roundup. We're the DBR crew. DBR 2023 and the promo code gets you 15% off, and it's going to help a family in need over at the Rocky Mountain Sports Network, a family of ours, just like you guys are all family members. We appreciate you. We have a family in need. Please help them out. Go over to willowseasonings.com. All right, guys. With that, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for this evening. So before we get out of here, I'm going to get everything queued on up. Like I said, keep your feet in the stirrups. Keep your gun in your holster. Keep the Broncos in your heart. And until next week, we'll see you later, guys. Good night.